Shalom, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. I am Sister Kate. Um, this is Sister Kate, Shofar Mountain, and I value all of my subscribers, especially you long-term subscribers and supporters. I wanted to talk today about the military being therapy for some people. I had the thought just watching probably a video or thinking about old memories of mine. When you're in the military, and I was not the military member, PJ was obviously. It's a whole lifestyle. It is a whole lifestyle that cannot be explained in like a 10-minute conversation. The structure, the hierarchy, the goal, the mission, all of that is much harder to explain to someone. But what I've experienced and seen in my life and actually have done, and y'all give me some grace on the video because it's a big thought and I'm not going to be able to just spit it all out. Just come on the journey with me. How about that? Like in high school, my brother was in the Marine Corps, and there were days in high school when you got to dress up for things, the Spirit Week and the pajama day and stuff. And there were career days and so on. And once I dressed up like a soldier because I was becoming familiar with that lifestyle. And then I ended up dating someone who was in a military school. And then I took some classes in college, some ROTC classes, because of dating PJ, and he was in the military, and there was just something that attracted me to it. So that was kind of my point of view on it. Well, 20 years later, 30 years later, now that we're out and we've been out, we also run into people who are prior service, but people who really are enamored of that lifestyle and the discipline and the knowledge and everything you learn. And so to get to the point of, is it a kind of therapy for people? Absolutely. It used to be when the military needed people and was trying to recruit soldiers, I'm sure during wartime, but even possibly in peacetime. Yeah, that's my dog. Sorry, y'all. When you do a video and you have livestock, there's going to be animal noises in the background. It's just one of the things. Hopefully he will stop doing that soon. The military would recruit from prisons, from jails. They would go to, their local area, I'm sure, and find out who was arrested and for what. And it was used as a way to tell the person, your crime's not super bad, but we don't want to house you. We don't want to deal with you. So you have two choices. It was the judge's decision. You have two choices. You can either go to jail, but you're a petty thief or whatever, and we really don't want to put you in with the hardened criminals in our jail system, or you can go in the military. And so, there are people also, I heard a podcast of some famous Delta guy or, some Green Beret or something who gave the history of his life, and his home life had been very difficult. His, chaotic, violent. And so he wanted to get out of that life as he got older. He did not want to continue, staying in that atmosphere. And so he joined the military as a very young man. And you can join as early as, I think, 17 if your parents do a signature for you. So that's what he did. And what it did for him was give him all the structure in his life that he needed, that he had not had. And along those lines, it doesn't have to be just men either. PJ did tell me a story about a female that he encountered in the ROTC program of our college. And she had been married, so probably recently divorced, and lived. What struck him was when he once went to her apartment, I don't know if he was giving her a ride or whatever, she lived like a Spartan. Now, when you're in college, a lot of people live like Spartans. A lot of people are pinching pennies and eating ramen every meal, or are buying their books used and not, spending all the money in the world to get the t-shirts and the banners and the posters and everything that the school sells, um, she was in that ROTC program, which meant she was going to get money. When you're in ROTC, you do get a monthly stipend. She was going to get the uniforms. She was going to get the training. And you, at the end of that time, you do get, if you pass, with any kind of, if you pass the program, you are commissioned as a junior officer in whatever service ROTC you did. So you're going to go in the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, Marine Corps, whatever. And once you're in the military, you're going to get paid, and you're going to get housing, and you're going to have medical care, and you're going to get training, and you're going to get experience. And so my thought when he told me about this woman is probably that the marriage was not good. She had gotten married young, because when you go to college, you're like 18, 19 years old. Could have been abusive. I'm not saying it was, but it just didn't work for whatever reason. And she seemed to be on her own, like her parents. He didn't say her parents were supporting her or anything. So it made sense to this person to go to school, get educated, and join the military. And I think it had to have been some kind of refuge or therapy for her. And then I kind of, knowing what I do about the military and everything, and everyone who joins it, I then took the idea, because everyone who joins, a lot of people are just escaping something. They their parents are too overbearing, their parents are too lax, their parents are too unstructured, whatever, or they're very patriotic. Their family's been, 8 generations of Army officers or sergeants or whatever. When you get out and you see civilians, and the most obvious example of the civilians with some sort of focus on military life, military uniforms and everything, are those who do the stolen valor thing, right? And we actually encountered a person. He was running a pawn shop, and he did have some military memorabilia, but there was also the kind of stuff you see in a pawn shop, used chainsaws and whatever. You go in and it's usually they've got all that stuff inside. And he started talking to us, because we're the kind of people who come in and say, hey, how you doing today? And, we interact with the clerks and stuff when we go to stores. And this particular gentleman started telling me stories about himself. I'm like, so, how is it that you work at this pawn shop? And the first story he told me was about him saving a woman from a burning building. And I said, oh, were you a firefighter? And he's like, yeah. And then he segued into a story about him fighting a tiger. And then the next thing was, I said, oh, my husband's in the military. He goes, oh, I was in the military too. And I asked him what his unit was, and he told me. And I asked him, what his rank was, and he told me, and they didn't match. And I knew right then he was a pathological liar. He had made up the story about saving someone in a fire and fighting a tiger, and now he was, in the dream world, the fantasy world, that he was in the military. And it struck me, I got cold chills like down my spine. Like, this person is not living in reality, and they're happily lying to a stranger about a bunch of stuff that never happened to them. And it really, I didn't like it. So I grabbed my husband quickly and I said, hey, we got to get out of here. This guy's weird. And that is, the most obvious. And I just wonder what the attraction of saying you're in the military is. Possibly you think there's glory and honor and whatever there. And then there's also the people who enjoy paramilitary type experience, but not having gone through all the training and everything. And there's groups that do that thing. There's groups who do reenacting in a military, like Civil War soldier reenacting, World War II soldier reenacting, and the whole like camouflage clothing and everything runs parallel with hunters, because hunters have to camouflage themselves depending on what they're hunting, especially turkey hunters, because turkeys are really smart. They have great vision, great hearing, and they're They're intelligent and they can scan a forest area that they walk through every day and notice anything that's out of the ordinary and just leave. So there's that aspect too. And camouflage being, for snipers to, hide and sneak up on people and just blending into your surroundings. It's all like part of a bigger picture. And I do think there is something attractive to um, the structure of that military lifestyle. There's something about it that helps people if they're living a life that seems kind of out of control. When you put on a uniform and you have to wear it a certain way and you have to talk a certain way, it brings everything back into a structure that people, I think, can relate to. It's universal. It's been around for as long as people have been fighting each other. So I do think there is an aspect of therapy in the military idea. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening. I I really appreciate your comments and everything. So if you have an opinion on this, please let me know what it is. I'm looking forward to seeing what y'all have to say. All right, bless y'all. Shalom.